What is going on, guys? Jason Burke here, Styles Clash for Life, coming at you on YouTube, and today I've got some football focus. I'm recording a bulk of videos here on Sunday. As you guys are seeing, this is probably Friday afternoon, hopefully, if all the scheduled posts go out this week. I am going to be starting to do weekly movie reviews and weekly Steeler reviews, so over the course of the next 6 to 8 weeks, you guys will at least get one Steeler review per week minimum. Probably either on Tuesdays or Fridays. So check back weekly on Tuesdays and Fridays for film reviews or Steeler reviews, or if you like both, check back for both. But I am doing a quick Steeler review here, looking at our positions. So what I want to do is, we're about a month away from preseason. Obviously, our roster is going to get finalized down to 53. Pittsburgh, I think, will make another move or two, probably for a wide receiver, something like that, once the other teams start cutting their valuable receivers and things like that. But as of right now, after the Jalen Ramsey, Jonnu Smith, Minkah Fitzpatrick trade, I think all of Pittsburgh's major moves for right now are done. I think all the big trades are done. I think all the moves until preseason are done. So I want to look at our roster right now, from who we have currently right now, as of today, and compare it to what we were this time last year. Looking at last year's roster that played in the season, compared to what we have right now, and see if we're better off, worse off, or about the same with a push. So better, worse, or the same. Pittsburgh Steelers position by position. And the first thing I want to look at is one of the toughest and most divisive positions to look at on this team, the ever-popular quarterback position. Obviously, things in Pittsburgh at quarterback have not been the same since Big Ben retired. Big Ben's last 2 seasons in the league, he was not quite himself. He was a shell of the legend that Big Ben is. So 2 kind of down years, first-round playoff exits. And then, of course, we transitioned. We had Trubisky, we had Pickett, and then last year we had Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. We did a wholesale quarterback room change last year. We wound up with Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, and Kyle Allen, 3 new quarterbacks on the roster after letting go of Mitch Mason and Kenny. So we had 3 new quarterbacks, and let's take a look quickly at their stats and see how they compare to the guys we have this year. So Russell Wilson last year was our main starter. That was our guy. He came into the season hurt last year, so Justin Fields started the season. In Justin Fields' 6 starts, he went 4-2 with 1,106 yards in those 6 starts, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception, and 65.8 completion percentage for Justin Fields, and that's not counting his rushing yards and rushing touchdowns, which added a lot to him. Now, obviously, again, improved on his quarterback decision-making downfield, analyzing the field, not turning the ball over, not forcing it as much, played much more as a game manager, used his legs a lot more, was a lot smarter with the football, but was still a very conservative quarterback that wasn't making a ton of splash plays. He was an efficient game manager. He was improving on his decision-making, but he still wasn't really giving us any splash plays, wasn't giving any excitement, wasn't showing us what our team could fully be with a, tier 1 quarterback on the roster. Then Russell Wilson came in to try to give us that splash, started off very, very hot, and then really melted down at the end of the season with 4 straight losses, but went overall 6-5 last year with 2,482 total yards in those starts, 16 touchdowns to 5 interceptions, and a 63.7 completion percentage. So, again, started hot with the splash, and then really tanked in the last 4 games of the regular season, plus the playoff game. We had 5 straight losses, got beat all around the board. And so we went out and said, okay, we're going to try to get Justin Fields back. We're going to let Russell Wilson go. Kyle Allen didn't play any meaningful time last year, so we're going to let him go and do another 3-for-3 wholesale quarterback room change for the 2nd year in a row. We're gonna let our guys go and get new guys in here. The problem was we didn't retain the one guy we tried to retain, Justin Fields. We could not give him the money he was looking for and couldn't guarantee him that he was going to be our full-time starter, and he didn't want to get replaced again like he did with Russell Wilson. So now Russell Wilson is over competing with 2 other quarterbacks on the Giants, probably going to be their starter in week 1 as he ages. Justin Fields is going to go be the full-time starter for the Jets next year, and we're playing them in week 1 of the season. And Kyle Allen, I don't know where he wound up, but he's no longer on the team. So what Pittsburgh did was they brought back Mason Rudolph, a guy who left the team 2 years ago, played last season on the Tennessee Titans to not very much success. Drafted Will Howard in the 6th round. He was kind of a 3rd to 4th round quarterback, but kind of overrated in a pretty bad quarterback draft. But for a 6th round quarterback, he's pretty efficient. Played for the national champion Ohio State Buckeyes last year, and then finally, after much debate and putting us off for weeks and weeks and weeks and unable to make a decision, wanting to play for Minnesota, wanting to retire, not sure what he wanted to do, Aaron Rodgers, the former longtime Packers quarterback and short-term Jets quarterback, has come over to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And people look at Aaron Rodgers much like they looked at Russell Wilson last year. A future Hall of Fame quarterback, won Super Bowls, won playoff games, very clutch, very, upper echelon NFL quarterback who is just slowing down because he's aging and is not playing at the level that he's used to playing at. 2 years ago, he went from Green Bay, where he was a Hall of Fame legend, to the Jets, and then got hurt in the first series of the first game last year 2 years ago for the Jets. Didn't play the entire season. Came back last year to play one season for the Jets, and while he obviously was a step slower, he's a pocket passer, not a runner to begin with, but looked a step slower in general last year and definitely didn't play to his usual potential. For a guy that's 40 years old and in, his freaking 15th season or whatever it is, he came in last year and his numbers are not nearly as bad as people would have you believe. Aaron Rodgers last year, and I'm going to go over his numbers because he's going to be our starter, obviously, barring injury. But he won 5-12 last year on a pretty good Jets team that won a lot of games with worse quarterbacks. I mean, they had Zach Wilson a year prior to that, and they almost made the playoffs because the defense is very good and the weapons are very good in terms of like Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. So they have weapons over there. And Rodgers went 5-12 with those weapons, was turning the ball over more than he usually does, was not consistent in his decision making, was looking a step slower, was getting sacked a lot, but went 5-12 for the Jets. But did throw for 3,897 yards, which is more than both of our quarterbacks combined last year. Did throw for 28 touchdowns, which is more than both of our quarterbacks combined last year. 11 picks, which is not great and is more than he usually throws, but 63.0% completion percentage. So right around Russell Wilson's and about 2.8% lower than Justin Fields. But yeah, I mean, for a bad year and what was considered kind of a washed quarterback who's at the end of his career, granted he wasn't playing as well in the clutch and he wasn't winning games for a team that could have been better than they were, but even still, for a super down year, to throw for almost 4,000 yards and 28 touchdowns, that's not terrible. That's not terrible by any stretch of the imagination. So there's a lot of variables here. Did Pittsburgh get better or worse? Well, getting rid of Russell Wilson for Aaron Rodgers, I think Rodgers at this point in their careers, both guys are going downhill, but Rodgers is the better of the two quarterbacks by far. Rodgers over Justin Fields. You could consider Fields a better quarterback because he's so much younger, has a higher ceiling at this point in his career, and does have the extra added mobility with his feet to add touchdowns and first downs with his legs. That being said, he's never going to be the passer that Aaron Rodgers has been in his career. Aaron Rodgers is a legendary passer. Kyle Allen is just kind of a wash at this point, just a veteran backup. Mason Rudolph coming back to the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think he's better than he showed in Tennessee. But that being said, he was a game-managing one-on-one go-ball guy for Pittsburgh 2 years ago when he led us to some victories. But he's proven that he can win games and he can throw a good go-ball, and we have guys like DK Metcalf, so that makes sense for him. And Will Howard, we have no idea what his ceiling is going to be. I don't think he's a starting quarterback in the NFL like he was once projected to be. That being said, I do think he's better than a sixth-round quarterback for the value we got him at. So, is the room last year of Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, and Kyle Allen better, worse, or the same as our room this year with Aaron Rodgers, Mason Rudolph, and Will Howard? This one is going to be one of the toughest ones to call, right? Because we still don't know. How healthy is Aaron Rodgers? How productive can he be at 40 years old? Is Mason Rudolph going to have to play? And if he does, are we going to get the Pittsburgh Steelers playoff run from 2 years ago when he was winning clutch games for us? Or are we going to get the Tennessee Titans quarterback with no weapons and no team around him? That's a good question. Will Howard, what can he be? Are we ever going to see? Do we want to see? I mean, at this point next season, if Will Howard is our starting quarterback at some point next season, that probably means we're in trouble because he is by far the third quarterback on this team right now. If he's starting anywhere near midseason, that means that our guys are all hurt or we are tanking. So I don't know if we want to see that. I would lean, if I had to pick one, obviously I'm going to say push here because we're trading aging quarterbacks for aging quarterbacks, and we have similar stat lines. Even though Rodgers has better overall passing numbers than the other two guys do, Fields was winning more games and Rodgers had a bad record last year. So it's hard to say. I would choose push if I was forced to choose. If I had to pick better or worse, I would say slightly better. That being said, it's still an older quarterback, and so we don't know how healthy he's going to be. I think the offensive line here in Pittsburgh, while fledgling and while still needing to gel together and having a lot of young players here and guys coming off injury and rookies and all that, there's a lot of variables. I think that we are slightly better, but if I was forced to choose, I would choose push. I think it's an even quarterback room right now, and we will see what happens with our weapons. There's still probably at least one more receiver move coming after the preseason, so we'll find out. But do you think the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback room is better, worse, or the same than last year? Please tell me in the comments down below. Please like, share, and subscribe to these Pittsburgh Steelers deep dive videos, and check back every Tuesday and Friday for movie reviews and or Steeler reviews. Both are coming consistently going forward. But what do you want to see me do next? Which position most intrigues you besides quarterback for the future of the Steelers? Go Steelers. I will see you guys soon.